Very good morning, children. I am going to continue with my lesson, The Heavenly Parasol of Standard 8. So, earlier, first day I told you the story of this lesson. Second day I had begun the lesson and I completed 10 points out of that lesson. So, today I am going to continue that lesson. So, I just want you all to brush up or just to recall what was done earlier. So, as you all know, this story is about the prince and the princess. Like you all have heard many stories earlier also in the olden time. King, queen. So, this is about the prince and the princess. So, the princess was Amrita Prabha and the prince was Meghvana. Okay, so you know that there was a Swayamvara ceremony and Amrita Prabha had selected Meghvana as a best suitor for a future. And this way they get married, they go for the blessings of the king, and later on when they were taking the blessings, the Meghvana was blessed with the heavenly parasol. Parasol, I have told you, it's a acquisitive umbrella, okay, which is white in color, which is fully decorative, and this will be parasol will be given only to the people who is truth and who is daring and who is doing the kind deeds in the society. And the Meghvana was one among them. So this parasol was sent by Varuna, the god of the sea. So because of his good deeds, or because of his kindness, or because of his main intention was to wipe out what? To wipe out the injustice done, the sacrifices what was given by the human beings. So he was struggling to wipe away all these things. I told you in the earlier classes. So later on, after the wedding is over, after taking the blessings from the king, they move on. Later on, when they move on, what happens? I have told you that the king in Kashmir, okay, Meghvana was from there. So the king was not ruling properly, and instead of ruling, what he was doing? He was spending, the administration was not taken care. Most of the time he was wasting only by doing prayers. So the people were suffering. So the ministers come to Meghvana and tell him to come back and to take the post and to rule the kingdom. And he accepts and he willingly goes to Kashmir. Okay, so I completed that. Then Meghvana became the king of Kashmir, I told you, and he soon proclaimed the law. What is the law he proclaimed? That against killing of the human beings. So wherever he goes, wherever he conquers, his main intention is to stop all these superstitions, giving sacrifices to God and killing the human beings. So it became the ambition to conquer other kingdoms, to impose this law as well as on them. So not only in his kingdom, he wanted in all the kingdoms, in each and every nook and corner, he wanted to abolish this, or he wanted to initiate this law so that the killing of human beings doesn't take place but how will I cross the great sea with my army? So now to go to Lanka, he has to cross the sea and go. So now he doesn't know how to cross the sea and go to Lanka and how to stop these demons from doing wrong things and how to bring peace in Lanka. So this island of Lanka. So this was his main problem. So what next? In his agitation, the king did not wait to summon. Okay, after that, when I told you the people were resting, the army was resting, and he was sitting and planning how to conquer Lanka. And now next, when he was about to move with his army from a long far away, he hears some sound or cry. See them. All of a sudden, there was a cry in the air. He heard the cry in the air, far off. Okay, it seemed to come from a wood by the shore. Means after the shore, after the sea, after the shore, there are woods. Okay, so from there he is hearing a cry, and not far from where the royal horses were tethered. Tethered means the animals. Wherever you take your animals, the horses and all, they will be tying and keeping them in the chains. Tethered, they say. So there they had kept. So it is not far. The voice is not coming very far from where the horses are kept, where they are tied and kept. So he can hear a cry. The cry came again, and the king heard the plaintive call. So now again, once he heard it, again he is listening the cry for the second time. Plaintive call means it is like a sad sound, sounding sad. Means somebody is in need of help or somebody is in trouble. So that type of call he is listening. Meghvana. Even under Meghvana's rule, I have been a slave. Slave means what? That person who is crying, he is thinking. Now it is the rule of Meghvana, but even in this time also, I am becoming a slave. Slave means a person who is ready to be killed by the other person. Next, point 12. In his agitation, the king did not wait to summon his officers but ran towards the wood. So in his agitation, agitation means now king is in the disturbed mind, state of mind. He is disturbed after he listens the call, cry that is very sad or which is in need of help. He listens again and again, once or twice. So he is disturbed. He doesn't wait for any summon. Summon means any call. He just runs away to the towards the wood to help the person who is in need or who is in danger. Plunging through the undergrowth, he fought his way till he came to a clearing. Therefore, before him was a temple of Chandika, Durga, with some sort of human sacrifice in progress on the steps. A man lay on the ground, his arms raised for mercy, and a menacing-looking barbarian stood over him, brandishing his sword. So now, I told you he reaches near the wood and plunging through the undergrowth. Plunging means what? He is falling steeply undergrowth. He goes in such a force that he fought his way till he came to a clearing. Till he reached his destiny, he went in such a way he didn't bother how he is going, but he was running with a mad rush because to give the help for the needy person. There before him, so when he reaches there, in front of him, what did he see? He saw a temple of goddess Chandika. Chandika means Durga, God. So there he saw the temple with some sort of human sacrifice. So some human sacrifice was going on in the temple in progress on the steps. So on the steps of the temple, he saw a person might be lying down and he is begging not to kill him. He is telling to save his life and not to kill him. See there. A man lay on the ground, his arms raised for mercy. So if anybody is going to kill you and if you are kept on the steps and if you are supposed to be killed by the sword, so this person, what is doing? The person who is on the steps, he is raising his hand and he is asking barbarian. But this barbarian, what is he doing? Barbarian means you know no. He is a primitive or a cruel human being. He stood over him brandishing his sword. But brandishing means he was displaying his sword and he was showing his sword, and this person was asking for mercy and help. Stop, cried the king, shocked at the sight. You wretch, you dare threaten another's life in my realm. The barbarian dropped his sword in terror and fell on the knees before the king. O noble one, have mercy. I am the leader of a troop of barbarians that live in this wood. My little son has fallen prey to some disease and is on his deathbed. If I kill this man, the gods will be pleased and save my son's life. If you prevent this sacrifice, my son dies and the rest of my troop will give up their lives with him. So now what happened? When the king reaches there, he sees this, that one man is lying on the steps of the temple and he is raising his hand and he is asking for mercy to save him or not to kill him. And here he is showing the sword barbarian and getting ready to slay the person who is lying down on the steps. So now king sees, all of a sudden he was shocked, he was terrified, and he says stop. For whom he says stop? He says stop for the barbarian. And the king was shocked at the sight and he says, you wretch. Wretch means what, children? What is the meaning of wretch? Wretch means a miserable person who is to be condemned, who is to be despised. So you call that person, you wretch, means you are a fool. So to stop him, because he is all on a, suddenly he sees it, the king sees, he is shocked and he is surprised at the scene, what he is seeing near the, on the steps. You wretch, you dare threaten another's life in my realm. Realm means what does the king say? So you don't dare to kill anybody in my kingdom. This is my kingdom and you have no right to take anybody's life in my kingdom. The barbarian drops the sword immediately. He got scared of Meghavana and he dropped the sword immediately with fear and goes and falls on the feet of the King Meghavana and he asks him for forgiveness. See there, the barbarian drops his sword in terror and falls on the knees before the king. And what does he say? O noble one, have mercy. And he saying, you are a noble one, you are a kind person, so you have mercy on me. Who is saying this? This barbarian is telling it to the king. And what does the king do? Then he will say, I am the leader. The barbarian says, I am the leader of the troop. I got a big troop, a big group of people behind me, and I am the leader of this. And the reason for giving the prey, this person to be fallen a prey is because of my son. My son is suffering with some diseases which are not to be cured. So because of that I am very sad, and I thought that if I give sacrifice of this person, gods will please, and what they will do, they will cure my son who is suffering from disease. Otherwise, if anything happens to my son, what will happen? The troops also will give up their lives with him. Means his group. Means because of the leader, if his sons die, naturally the troop of the leader, they also will die along with him because of his ailment. See here, my little son has fallen prey to some disease and he is on his deathbed. He might die at any time. Like his condition is becoming worse and worse. So this is the only thought came to my mind, that if I give the sacrifice of the human being, my son will be saved by the blessings of God. See, if I kill this man, the God will be pleased and save my son's life. If you prevent this sacrifice, my son dies and the rest of the troop will give up their lives with him. So if you stop giving me this sacrifice, then naturally my son who is in the last stage, who is in the deathbed, he will die, and along with his death, what happens? All my troop also will give their lives behind my son. The king glanced towards a bundle on the temple porch and presumed it to be the sacrificed boy. His heart was torn with confusion and compassion. So the king glanced towards a bundle. Bundle means might be he might have brought his son and kept it. So his heart fell because seeing that condition of the son. So the king glanced towards the bundle. Glance means what? King is looking at that bundle on the temple porch. Porch means in the veranda there is a bundle and he sees that bundle which is kept on the veranda, and what does it happen? And he presumes. Presume means he thinks or he assumes it to be for that boy's sake the sacrifice is done. So seeing the bundle on the veranda, he comes to know because of that boy who is on the deathbed, the sacrifice is done, and this barbarian is giving that man in sacrifice to please God and to save the life of his son. His heart was torn with confusion and compassion. So the king is now confused, and at the same time he has got compassion towards the son of the barbarian. Means kindness, pity. King feels pity for it because his father is feeling sad because he is losing his son because of some of the diseases. This man whom you desire to protect, continued the barbarian, was wandering about, alone and friendless, in the forest. Is he of more value to you than this child, with whom many persons are connected? So what the barbarian is still telling the king, this man, he doesn't have anybody. He was all alone. He was just wandering here and there in the forest. Okay, so he doesn't have any friends. He doesn't have anybody to ask. He is one and the only person. So if he dies, nothing is there. Nobody is there to cry for him, or nobody will feel sad, or nobody will be wanting him. So in spite of that, if he dies, nothing, no harm. But if my son dies, what happens? The whole of my troop will end their life. So is he of more value to you? So is that man who doesn't have anybody, who doesn't have any friend, he is roaming all alone in the forest, he is a friendless person. So that type of person is important, or my son's life is important for you. The barbarian is asking for the king. The victim sat crying on the ground, a look of terror on his face. Tears fell from the barbarian's eyes. Sir, tell me what to do, he cried. I cannot see my son suffer this way. So now again the barbarian is requesting the king. What is he saying? The victim sat, now the victim is released from the barbarian. So he sat crying on the ground, a look of terror. Terror means he is already scared, because if king wouldn't have been paid, he would have been killed by the barbarian. So the victim is saved by the king, but the fear is still existing that he would have lost his life. So tears fell from the barbarian's eyes. Now see, looking at the victim also, even barbarian is feeling, see the condition, whoever it is, even if you are alone, if you don't have anybody, life is given by God. So nobody has right to take away the life. Only who has given the life for us, God, and he himself can take it. So now he came to know what the king is thinking of. He is also a human being. He also has got a feeling. He also has got the kindness, the heart, where he doesn't want to lose the life easily. So now the tears fell from the barbarian's eyes. Sir, tell me what to do, he cried. I cannot see my son suffer this way. So now again barbarian is crying because his victim is gone. He is released by the king. So now barbarian is asking, so now how to save my son? You tell me, king, what to do? How to save my son who is on the deathbed? The king spoke firmly. Do not be distressed. I will save your son as well as this victim. I offer my body in sacrifice to Chandika. Kill me, O barbarian. May these two persons live. So now what does the king say? Don't worry, I won't allow you. I don't allow took a step backward. Sir, you are the king. Your life should be protected at all times. Do not pity this victim. Let him die. His life is of no significance. So what again the barbarian? He doesn't want to kill the king. So what is he saying? Let the victim die. He is of no any importance. But you are very important. You are the king. You have to rule. You have to take care of the kingdom. You have to do some good deeds. Okay, see there. Struggling between incredulity. Incredulity means what, children? Means showing this. Incredulity means showing fear or refusing. With fear, took a step backward. Okay, with the fear and all, he takes a step backward and he refuses to kill the king. And what does he say? Sir, you are a king. Your life should be protected at all times. So you should live. You shouldn't die. You should be protected. So do not pity this victim. So this victim is of no use, no importance, no significance is there. But you are more important. So if he dies, nothing is there. So his life has no significance. Whose life? Victim's life. The king shook his head impatiently. Impatiently means all of a sudden, once only the king shakes his head impatiently. You sometimes even you all will be impatient. If you want, you all want. You don't be satisfied till whatever your needs are fulfilled. So here also now all of a sudden the king shakes his head impatiently. If I can use my body to stop a killing, why should I not? Do not speak another word. Kill me. So now, to stop that wrong thing to happen, if I use my body, if I kill myself, what happens? Nothing will happen. It doesn't cause anything. But I will be saving two lives. That is your son as well as that victim. So what is there in killing me? Come, kill me. Do not speak. Now you don't talk anything. Only lift your sword and kill me. So this is ordered by whom? King to the barbarian. The barbarian hung his head and made no move to take his sword. So barbarian just hung his head. He just stood numb. He can't do anything. He can't even touch the sword, or he cannot raise it on the king. He can't do anything. Nor he can kill the victim. Now he is helpless and he cannot do anything. So he just stands still, and what does he do? He has no move to take his sword. He can't even remove his sword. If you cannot bring yourself to strike at me, I will use my own sword for the purpose. So saying, the king drew out his sword. So the king is saying, if you are not going to kill, if you are not going to remove your sword and kill me, what I'll do? I will take my own sword and kill my own self. Saying that, what does he do? The king drew out his sword. He removes out his sword. The barbarian and the victim watched in horror. Now, the barbarian is there, the victim is there. When the king removed his sword to kill himself, they are looking in horror. Horror means, with a fear. Once only, they don't know what to do. Because king is ready to kill himself in place of that victim and to give life for the barbarian's son. As Meghwana was about to strike himself, his head was covered with divine flowers of exquisite color and perfume, and someone held back his arm. The king whirled around in surprise and beheld a person of heavenly appearance. Then he realized that the barbarian, the victim, and the ailing boy had vanished. So this is only just a scene which was made. It is not real. It is an imagination scene. So see, when the barbarian and the victim watched in horror, what happens? The Meghwana was about to strike himself. When Meghwana was about to strike himself, what happened? His head was covered with that when he sees this scene, when this incident takes place, the barbarian, the victim, and the son of the barbarian all are vanished, all are disappeared. So this was only made to just to test the king, how the king will react at this scene if he is given a chance, because his main intention was to stop the human sacrifice, and he was going on saying that all the kingdoms should follow this law. And when it comes to his turn, whether king is going to do the same or no was tested by God before to Meghavana. A divine being addressed the beaver